Hello everyone, welcome to an exciting episode of Passing Dimes. Just kidding, they're all exciting, but this one, I feel like we're finally moving into indoor now because it's getting cold out.
It's getting a little nippy out here in Canada, but it's a good way for us to transition into the indoor game with our university and colleges season starting up right now. We got a pretty exciting guest on the table today.
It's a great guest because he's involved in what feels like every layer. So our guest is involved in... He's involved in Ontario Summer Games. He's involved in Team Ontario. He's been involved at university, at the Nipissing University, and he's currently coaching at the OCAA level. So in the last couple of years, he's been on the men's side at Fanshawe, where not a big deal, national champions. He also took home a silver, and that is 2 times they won Ontario. He just switched sides to the women's side, and he's made time for the interview after they just got a big win this weekend. So welcome to the show, Jeff Millar.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate the intro and I appreciate you having me on.
Big Ontario guy, Jeff Millar.
Absolutely.
So let's cover the obvious. How was your weekend?
Weekend, absolutely incredible. This was our kind of first chance, as a program and as a team, to really dive into competition. We've had about 6 weeks here of great training and for the girls to kind of put that onto the floor now and see some results. It was incredible to see them compete together and grow over the course of the weekend. So really happy walking away, obviously with the tournament victory, but above that, the girls got so much better and had a great time. We're able to kind of build those connections. So absolutely ecstatic walking with.
So Fanshawe, the mascot for Fanshawe College, for those of you who don't know, is the Fanshawe Falcons. And I think as I don't know, you want to call it a rite of passage or as a chip on the shoulder, a lot of the men's teams, they like to call themselves Dirty Birds. Does that go with the women's team as well, or is that a little weird for them to be calling themselves Dirty Birds as well?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to be held pretty strong on the men's side, and the girls, I guess, just haven't adopted that side of the mascot, I guess. And, we'll leave it to them to call themselves the Dirty Birds.
So Jeff, you coached at the university level on the women's side. You've been involved with Team Ontario. You've been at a high level of club volleyball. Can you just kind of paint a picture of the level of the OCAA? Because I feel like in Ontario, at least, it's a lot of rah-rah around university, and college seems to be like the ginger stepchild sometimes. Can you just kind of express the level, especially in the West, because not to pump too many guys' tires, but there are some pretty solid coaches in the West in Ontario with, like, buddy of the show, Matthew Schnarr, Jimmy Turk's done a good job. Scott Hunt just stepped down, but he was doing a great job at Sheridan. Wilkins over at Humber, they've had a great run there. So can you just talk about what Ontario's doing at the college ranks right now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty incredible and definitely a great association to be a part of. Don't get me wrong, the university programs definitely have their exceptional coaches and their programs have been built over the course of quite some term here now, and definitely deserve all the accolades and all the hype they get for the most part. But on the college side of things, it's definitely unique just in how much it's grown over the last couple of years. And it's at a place right now where, we're not losing as many athletes down to the NCAA now. And there's a lot of transfer students, taking their 5th year at collegiate programs. So definitely exciting and, an amazing program to be a part of here at Fanshawe. It gives us so much support. So, it's been an incredible journey, and I can't wait to see where the OCAA and the CCAA can kind of go from here.
Yeah, to speak on that, even from close to home level, a friend of the show, Matt Poulin, was a CIS All-Canadian for I think at least 2 or 3 years at Western, and then he came full circle and played his final year at Fanshawe. Were you had the pleasure of coaching him as well?
So at that time, no. I actually, as Matt Poulin moved on from the program, I was able to move down from North Bay and actually take on that assistant coaching role as he moved on from the program. So, the paths never crossed on a coaching side of things, but definitely definitely somebody I call a friend of mine, and an incredible athlete. Definitely a good coach, and did some great things for the program. And having them build from where they were to where they are now, it's pretty special.
Yeah, I think it was sort of, not to give him all the credit, but it was definitely after his final year there that the program really started to make some noise with some medals within the conference, and then obviously with the CCAA national championship from last year. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's got a national bronze, if I'm not mistaken, when they were hosting. But let's not tell him that.
No, he probably forgot already.
It's pretty big as isn't that the truth?
Before we move on to your involvement with the men's program, can you just give us kind of a season preview for the OCAA on the women's side? Obviously, Fanshawe has been very competitive, but you're stepping in as your first year with the program. A lot of returning athletes from the team that medaled at Nationals last year, or is it a lot of new athletes? Like, what are you looking forward to with this squad?
Yeah, we have a great squad again this year. Some amazing returning athletes, and a great group of new athletes coming in as well, who have really kind of just dug their heels in and got to work right away. So, program-wise, we're in a great position here, and the previous coach, Sean Pello, did an exceptional job, putting the right pieces in place, moving on from the program and leaving it in such a great place for us to take, great steps forward on the success that they've had last year. So, really fortunate and better year after year. So, I hope that, we can repeat on last year's success and, hopefully take steps forward in that regard as well on the CCAA stage. But, that's kind of a long way off right now. And as it stands, we're just looking to get better day by day, as, Mitch Marner and all those NHL guys said. We're just putting in work day after day and showing up to the gym and working really hard. So, the results will take care of themselves.
For sure.
So with being a college coach, let's just fill in the listeners. How many times are you guys practicing a week? Because sometimes it's not as much as, say, a university program would be. And then can you just share with your roster, like, do you have a mix of, is there somebody who finished their university career and now they're doing a fifth-year college just to kind of add to their degree? Do you have people who are in like a 1 or a 2 year program who you're going to lose quickly? Like, what is kind of the balance of the team right now? Because I think in university, you kind of know what you got, and you got 4th and 5th years, where college, sometimes you get a one and done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, right now, we are training nearly four times a week, I would say. And on top of that, they're doing their strength and conditioning programming 3 times a week. And just as we're kind of ramping up into our seasonal schedule, we're going to drop that and taper off a little bit on the training side of things, and kind of gauge where we're going to go from there, kind of day by day and week by week based on our yearly training plan. And so I'm excited to not only execute on our yearly training plan, but definitely learn along the way, just to see at what point, when girls are getting better or when fatigue sets in, those kinds of things. Things that I was so fortunate to learn from Pat Johnson on the men's side, and other great mentor coaches that I've been able to work with. In the past, I never really had to worry so much about that kind of stuff. So definitely a learning experience through the course of the season. But to your other question, the team, the makeup of our program and our team. We've got one girl with some university experience, Janelle Albert, who played for Ryerson and was a tremendous force for that program, and is still dominating the OCAA and the CCAA right now. Just incredible talent there. And then we've got the rest of the girls are all collegiate based and taking multi-year programs. So very similar to how the universities have broken down their year-to-year makeup. We kind of are fortunate enough to have great programming at Fanshawe, and we we can take advantage of those multi-year programs as well, and kind of have a little bit of confidence and solidarity there, moving year to year.
Nice. So you mentioned you were part of PJ's staff. Let's get into the men's program. So as Dallas asked, you kind of moved in after the Poulin era, but were you kind of right on time for Sabathern Lethbridge and that crew? Is that when you kind of arrived on the men's side?
Yeah, so I arrived kind of on the tail end of that core. So, Sebastian, Cole Jordan, JJ, who spent a year at the full-time training center, but then returned there last year for our national championship run there. There were some other exceptional athletes. David Guntram spent 5 years there, so it was such an incredible program, and some incredible athletes that are still, have returned this year actually, like Mike Liscombe and Mitch McFadden there. So it's it's the start of a new era now on the men's side. Right after the national victory, just with a whole kind of crew of them. Cole Jordan and JJ heading back to the full-time training center, and a few others moving on in their different respective areas. And, so it's been something special for sure that I was fortunate enough to be a part of. And I was so lucky to learn for 2 full years, under the direction of PJ. So definitely, couldn't have been happier with my experience there with him.
So it's funny you mention athletes with former university experience. You actually had the chance to coach one of my old teammates at the University of Guelph, Sam Otten, and I got a few. I know we're big into stories here on Passing Time, so I got a good story for you here too. Actually, when Sam was a first year on the Guelph team, I was doing my master's, so I was quite a bit older than some of the incoming rookies. But we had a setter named Sam, we had a left side named Sam, we had Sam Otten, and then we had an Australian Sam. So we had all these different Sams on the team, and nobody really could keep track of all of them. So as a team, we figured, what's the most opposite name of Sam possible? And someone, our starting left side came up with Bruce. So Bruce is the most opposite name of Sam that you could come up with. So everybody on the team started calling Sam Otten Bruce, including the coaches, to the point where nobody really knew his real name, and everyone just called him Bruce. So my second,
That's outstanding.
it is, and you know what? If you see him and you call him Bruce, he'll roll his eyes and he'll probably know that I spoke to you. But the second story, which I think you're gonna find a little funnier, was I think we were coming back from North Bay, or we were on some big bus trip, and yours truly is a big meme guy. So what I did is I screenshot and cropped all the headshots of all the guys on the roster, and I started writing these memes, and I would float them around through text messages throughout the team. And I had Sam Otten Bruce's headshot up, and the caption said, "First year OUA All Rookie Team, second year OCAA All Star." And everyone got a huge kick out of that. Until he actually dropped out of school the following year and went to Fanshawe for his second year.
Oh, jeez.
So I got pulled into the coach's office for a little give your head a shake about that meme, and I want to turn around and say, hey, but you know what? It ended up being true.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Maybe that was the inspiration for him.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he owes me, and I'll take credit for his national championship.
Yeah, there you go. If you don't, who will, right?
Yeah, right? So
yeah, that's right. He's such a special talent, that guy. And, he's actually taking, I believe it to be his final year over at Niagara College now. So he's doing a brewery program there, and we've had the pleasure to actually have all 3 Otten brothers through the men's volleyball. Through the men's volleyball program, with Will Otten being there 2 years ago, along with Sam, and then now just this year we've got Jackson Otten in their set.
You got the youngest one.
That's right, yeah, so we got all 3 of them.
God help you.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to share some secrets for our audience. What's it like being in a training environment with PJ where, I mean, the expectation was to win a national championship. You guys definitely delivered, but I think at the same time, like that was the goal, I think, for even 2 or 3 years for this squad. The core had played club together. They did really well in club. I think they even won a bronze medal in their 18U year. So just what does it look like? What does it feel like in that practice gym where everybody's kind of going for it every day and you got big goals ahead of you?
Yeah, it's I've been in quite a few high performance gyms and in different programs and with different coaching staffs, and I've never been surrounded by so much just what feels like preparation. He is so deliberate in every word that he speaks and every drill that he presents and every match plan that that comes out of his hands, and it's incredible how invested these athletes are for PJ, but it's to no fault of anybody, and it's to every single I give PJ every little bit of credit because he puts so much work in that nobody will ever see. And he delivers day in, day out for these kids and for myself as an assistant coach. He delivered every day for me as well. And it was just so exciting. And I was so thankful to be given the opportunity to coach alongside him. And, I just learned so much. And, I know all of the athletes do as well, and they just respect him, for all the work that he puts in, not just for Fanshawe, but also previously for Western and for Boston College, and for LVC and all the programming that he does there, and just for the community at large. It's pretty special to be in an environment with somebody who cares that much and who will go out of his way, so many different facets to deliver the best experience for every single athlete that he coaches. So it's pretty special.
So one thing that I've noticed about volleyball specifically compared to other sports is there's a lot of trickle down copycatting where Glenn Hogue gets a lot of credit and every 14U coach wants to do what Glenn Hogue's doing, and there just seems to be the national team does this or Trinity Western does this or PJ at Fanshawe does this, so let's do it with our team. But one example that comes to mind when you talk about how organized PJ is the competitive cauldron and how organized and drills were measured and everybody's competing and winning. Is that something that you think club coaches or high school coaches could actually use now that you've kind of seen it in his gym and how he runs it?
Oh, absolutely. There's something I think that all coaches can take away from that environment, from a coach like that. Whether it's technical, whether it's tactical, whether it's how you prepare and organize and structure your gym and your environment, whether it's how you speak about the academics, or whether it's how you speak about strength and conditioning and the culture and every other piece that is involved in developing a national championship team. He exemplifies those things at such a high level that I believe any coach, no matter the team or age, division, or gender, it does not matter. I believe anybody can take something special away from being in the gym with that guy for a couple hours.
So how did you guys manage when you guys were statting practice or you're counting who wins the most drills? Like, how did you guys manage that and still have an environment where people were still learning and willing to make mistakes?
Yeah, it kind of started. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but the yearly training plan. We created this yearly training plan together, where the general prep phase of our training allowed for so much inter-squad development, there was the focus and the attention and the feedback was never geared towards the outcome. And it was only until we were looking into specific preparation or peak performance that we started to actually look at those things and value those types of things in our training environment. So for us, I won't say it never came up because it definitely did nearing our peak performance phase, but when the feedback and when the thought and when everything's spoken about is geared towards progress and development, it's it just creates that environment and that culture of making errors in the right way is definitely okay, provided we learn from those things and we try our best to error detect and correct and move on from those errors. So it's pretty unique and pretty special how he's been able to do that, and I've been able to get the best out of every athlete that I've seen come through his gym.
All right, that's enough PJ pumping tires for one episode. I think we better get back to you.
Yeah, I can't wait to roll the highlight film of him shanking balls as a libero.
Or those chest digs, the PJ chest digs.
It's easy to talk about strength and conditioning when your coach is a linebacker.
So let's get back to you. So you were involved with the North Bay Youth Club. You were with Durham Attack, and now you're currently with the London Fire Volleyball Club. What are you currently doing for club this year, and what's going on at LVC? You guys seem to be doing a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I'm for this year in my new position with Fanshawe. I've tried to essentially kind of put more stock and more time into Fanshawe and building that program, kind of how I see fit, and then so there's been less time allotted to LVC this year, but I'm definitely going to be doing my best to help with clinics and get into different gyms and different age groups and helping with camps and that kind of thing. But outside of that, LVC as a whole is such a great club, and they're doing, in my opinion, all the right things here, setting up mentor coaches and having this extraordinary kind of pathway for coach development, and kind of starting with that and building that into our player development model has been something special that I've seen. Chris Lawson kind of takes control of that and really creates a special environment and a special plan that isn't just year by year. He's looking long term for all these athletes and for everybody in our community. So pretty cool to see such incredible minds kind of at work and creating something special here in London.
So we're going to put you on the hot seat here. London is historically a very good sports city. They're very competitive in a lot of different ones. How are you convincing parents and athletes that at the younger age groups that you're not going to have an A team where you guys are going to have balanced rosters, coaches are going to change, athletes are going to swap between? Like, how did you guys really drive home the point of long-term athlete development doesn't necessarily mean winning medals, where Dallas can attest to this being one of the top 15 youth coaches in the province? Parents and kids, they want to win. They don't care about university when they're 14 years old. Like they want to win now and they want to win often, right?
I want to clarify, top 50 tier 3 coach in 15U. Just barely cracked that too.
Yeah, great question there, Josh. It's it was definitely a challenge when that opportunity was presented. Across the board, but what LVC has done a great job of and put a whole lot of time into is putting the right coaches in the right spots. So, they have given specific coaches, a mentorship role, and certain head coaches are paired with, younger assistant coaches that are looking to develop in their skills and abilities. And when the right people are put in the right place with the right intentions here, it's pretty special what parents actually do kind of commit to when there's so much committed to their individual child's development, and nothing is really kind of matched outside of individual development results. And I think there's definitely, no arguing with the individuals that have gotten better through the programming of LBC. So, especially in the last few years as well, whether there's an A team, a B team, whether it's deemed red, black, and white, or what the teams are called, it's nearly irrelevant when the result of individual athletes, from September through to April, May, all of these kids are getting so much better and loving the sport. So that's really what it's about. And the leadership team and the brilliant minds at LBC are doing such a great job of developing these kids and these programs. So, it's pretty amazing to see year after year.
So how big is LVC? You guys have, is it still called Timbits at the youngest age group? Like, I think you guys are one of the early entry points for volleyball where you have people as young as like 6 or 7 playing volleyball. Is that true?
Yeah, and it's, there's athletes in the programs called Feed the Fire. And a former Western athlete, Craig Dixon, kind of heads up that kind of stuff. And he does such an amazing job with those kids, just fueling just the passion and the incredible energy in the gym. And, it's amazing to see how invested kids can become in a sport when, the very first focus is them having fun and then loving that sport. So, they're doing a great job with those types of things.
I had the pleasure of playing against Craig Dixon for I think 3 or 4 years, so it's good to hear that that guys are still giving it back to the community. I think he was a character guy at Western, so it's good to hear that he's a character guy at the grassroots level too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see different people taking on different roles in the club, and the Feed the Fire and the younger programs. With him. I believe if he's not a full-time teacher, he's definitely on track to become. He's so amazing with the young kids and growing that program.
That's great about the Feed the Fire program. So what happens next? Is there a house league program and then they start playing club around like 11 or 12U?
The Still Burning program.
And then like the goal of winning medals at 18U? Like what is kind of your pathway at a bird's eye view? I won't make you trade all your secrets here, but kind of just give us a glance of what is the roadmap here that you, PJ, Lawson, all these guys and girls have kind of designed.
Yeah, so, I'll definitely take absolutely no credit for this. I am fairly removed from the club and from the leadership team especially. But, there's some, we're definitely based on more of a pyramid type program where, we take as many athletes as we can possibly get at the youngest levels, really try and make them fall in love with the sport. And from there, around that 13U mark, they're starting to, join our more high-performance programming or our development program, similar to any other club that you would see kind of across Ontario, trying to create as many opportunities for kids to be, enjoying the sport as possible. And then from there, when similar to the LTAD brought down by Volleyball Canada, that's when we're trying to build around a high performance model where we're introducing these athletes to high performance systems and what they're going to be seeing more at the collegiate university and hopefully provincial and national team level. And that's around that 17, 18U mark, and kind of introductory to those high performance years is in that 16U year. And both Pat Johnston and Sean Pello kind of head up those programs, the 17, 18s, as mentor coaches. And they get to create the yearly training plan for these coaches and these athletes, and really kind of facilitate how their year is going to go, month after month. And they found tremendous success and, two amazing coaching minds, for these head coaches and assistant coaches to have access to constantly, has essentially built what is now our high performance programming at the 17 and 18 years.
Wow, it's pretty impressive.
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to be part of your coaching long-term development plan.
Yeah, do you guys mentor coaches from other clubs too,
Yeah.
or just
What is there? Is there like a fantasy camp I can come up to learn how to be a good coach?
Yeah, great. I mean, there's a business in everything, as Ali Shermer always says. But we're definitely, PJ and Sean kind of do a bunch of different, coaching seminars and different things, and on top of that, Chris Lawson, who's a level 4 coach as well, is facilitating a bunch of different programming. So, Ontario-wide, we're very fortunate, as you said, to have a great group of athletes. But we also have an exceptional group of coaches here in London that are so dedicated to growing the sport, and in doing so have really kind of put themselves out there, and they're doing such a great job at building other coaches. So I'd take a look at trying to get on board with some of the courses and the programs that they're facilitating.
Well, speaking of segues, you mentioned Ellie Shermer, so we'll give him a slight shout-out, but we will shift gears to Madawaska. Is that kind of where you started your coaching career and kind of fell in love with it? Because you've been a big part and a big personality of Madawaska for a lot of years now.
Oh, thank you for the kind words, but I fell in love with the sport for sure. I was born and raised in Uxbridge, and I was incredibly fortunate to have an original coaching mentor and volleyball mentor, really, in Tony Kiriakou there in Uxbridge. So, he kind of facilitated the love for the sport. And after my first year there, I actually started at Canadore College up in North Bay. I met a fellow named Steve DeCourcy, who is also good friends with Mitch Berman, just to throw it back to him.
We'd be remiss if we didn't give a big shout out to Mitch Berman and the 2010 Fanshawe Falcons.
That's right, and an absolute amazing supporter of our alumni night, where he comes out and just absolutely ankles our middle blockers still. Right? He's still got it.
I've never seen somebody get so many blocks with wrist penetration in their life.
Oh man, what an absolute
physical specimen.
I don't know if he can get off the ground at this point. I'd be really interested to see his spike test.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited to see if he cracks the 10-foot mark.
No chance.
No.
I'll put 100 down that says he can't.
I'll put 200 down just to watch. No, but that's good. And to wrap things up, I know that we've caught you sort of mid-road trip here, so we'll have to keep things a little PG. But we love to dish stories on the pod. So if you have anything that you can share with us of any sort of precarious situations that you've been a part of, or just any sort of niche weird events that have happened in your volleyball career, we'd love to hear them.
Well, I need to share one first, actually. This is my favorite Jeff moment, where we're at Camp Madawaska, and one of the campers, name's George. He's a big personality, and it's talent night, and he's up on stage, and he's explaining to everybody where he's already proven he's the best dancer in camp, so he doesn't have a skid. He's just kind of on stage. And all of a sudden, Jeff stands up and finger points at him and says, "You're not the best dancer in camp, George. I am." And everybody's like, "Jeff, calm down. Go sit down, man. What are you doing?" And it's a good thing they must have double boarded that roof down, Dallas, because it would have blown off if they hadn't. Because Jeff went on stage, and he can, you're toe tapping, you're shaking, you're moving. This isn't just a volleyball guy, Dal. He can move it. That had to be one of the best skits I've seen in Madawaska ever, just because everybody's like, "Jeff, stop interrupting the show and yelling at the camper here."
Yeah, it was quite something. That was the start of a new era at Camp Madawaska for me, where I think that was my second or third year there at camp, and I'm running on my 9th year right now. But that was quite a moment for sure, and one that I'll never forget. George is a great sport. it's all about the kids there, and we put on a show and had a great time, and not many people know that I used to be a dancer, and that was kind of my one of my sports, so to speak, kind of through high school, and I was able to showcase not only my let's call it coaching abilities, but other kind of fun skills and little party tricks that I had in my back pocket there. But no, that was a ton of fun, and from that, I guess my story surrounds what's now called the Mint Chips. It was a Madawaska formed lip sync boy band where we, the five of us, there was three fellas, Sebastian Lethbridge, David Doty, and Taylor Jordan, did their own skit the following year, and myself and Pat Richardson, did our own thing, and then, we combined forces and made what's called the Mint Chips, and, there was a brand new era of Madawaska performance, and, it turned into such a huge thing that, there was an Instagram page made around it, and, there's promoters calling us to try and sell out their clubs and do these whole things, and little do they know that we're just a few coaches from a small camp just east of Bancroft doing some lip sync battles. So, what an absolute incredible experience that started so small and just absolutely took off. Through nothing that we've done, and it was a pretty cool environment that really kind of stoked the fire, so to speak. But yeah, it was pretty amazing.
We'll have to find some video of that. I was lucky enough to be in the audience when you guys did your battle. It was much like WWE, it reminded me of, because the heat on stage, the hatred for one another, that it was it was a good show. There was a bit of a standoff. I thought it was going to go beyond words. I was for sure thought that, but Millsap was there to separate everybody. I think the better team won that night, but it was good that you guys could combine forces, and hopefully we see you guys somewhere soon.
Oh, maybe down in the GTA, that we still, that Instagram page is still active, and we're still getting bites every now and then, but I don't know why, but we gave the keys to Sebastian Lethbridge on that thing, so.
Well,
who knows where that's going to be going.
Well, we did shout Ellie Shermer out on this show, so maybe between Ellie, Passing Dimes, the Mint Chips, something can happen. I think you combine those three people, there's too much talent in that organization for something not to go down.
There's a business and everything, that's what I've been told.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah. And then to, just to add in there I'd be a fool not to mention Mike Amoroso and the incredible dancing and entertainment that he can provide. So, it would be pretty special to combine that force in there too, with the old time togetherness 6 a.m. moments that that come from that guy. Holy, could a combined forces really do something special here in volleyball in Ontario?
Yeah, I think the train's leaving the station on this one. It's picking up momentum, and something's about to go down. I can feel it.
Something's coming in for sure.
That's a great momentum plug for you.
No free ads, though.
No free ads. Not on this show, yeah.
That's right.
Well, sir, thank you for taking the time after your big dub, and we'll be rooting for you guys. Thanks for giving a nice preview of the OCAA. Hopefully the fans, the friends of the show, can be a little patient with the audio quality that you were literally on the bus ride home and made time for us, so we appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on here, and thanks so much for what you're doing for the sport and our nation, and we really appreciate what you guys are doing. So appreciate you having me on, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Beauty. Thanks, Jeff.
No problem. Have a great night, guys.
Yeah, you too. Safe drive.
Thanks.
Thanks again to Jeff Millar for joining the show. Best of luck to Jeff and the Fanshawe Falcons women's volleyball team this season. As we enter back to the indoor season, feel free to check out show classics with TJ Sanders, Jesse Elser, and Becky Pavin to get you up to speed with all the things indoor again. And be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for new episodes every Friday. Now back to the show.
What a good guy.
Great guy.
That, that goes to show you how far, nice people will get you.
Yeah, that was a tough one for you because I don't think you've crossed paths with Jeff, but hopefully you and the audience got to learn that kind of an unsung big shooter in the volleyball community. He's got a lot of layers to him.
He's a Kawhi Leonard of coaching. Just goes about his business and gets W's.
You know, I'm a big supporter of Jeff. I think he's one of the more genuine people in our sport. I think he's just all around good guy. It's easy to root for those people. You always want to see them do well because they're just pure, genuine people.
Appreciate that. Appreciate you.
Dal, it's been a while. I feel like we haven't done a show in a while.
Well, you know what, Josh? New episodes have been dropping every Friday, and it's good to hear that Passing Dimes has been renewed for a second season. So if you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe to us on Podbeam, download us on the Apple Store, the Google Play Store, or wherever you degenerates get your stolen podcasts from.
It's not stolen. I feel like the kids are... If you watch our numbers, Spotify is quickly coming up. I don't even have a Spotify, but the kids do, Dal.
I'm not part of the kids. I found that out the rough way. Anyway, be sure to follow us on Instagram and give us some feedback on our Facebook page. That about does it for our episode here. So thanks again for listening.
Solid one. Thanks, Jeff. Bye, Mom.
Bye, Josh.